Hey there, science enthusiasts. Matt and Malaper here, and boy, do I have some mind-blowing stuff for you today. We're diving into a brand new study that's turning everything we thought we knew about habits upside down. Buckle up, because this is gonna be good. You know, habits are fascinating things. They shape our lives in ways we often don't even realize. As the great William James, the father of American psychology, once said, all our life, so far as it has definite form, is but a mass of habits. And he's right on the money. From the moment we wake up to the time we hit the hay, our habits are quietly steering the ship of our daily lives. Now, you've probably heard that it takes 21 days to form a habit, right? Well, what if I told you that's complete nonsense? Yep, you heard that right. A new study from the University of Surrey is challenging all those pop psychology myths we've been fed about habits. So, let's break it down and see what science really has to say about how we form and break habits. First things first, let's tackle that 21-day myth. The study found that forming a habit can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days. That's a huge range. So next time someone tells you it'll only take 3 weeks to start flossing regularly, you can hit M with some cold, hard science. But here's the kicker, it's not just about time. The complexity of the behavior and your personal circumstances play a big role too. Think about it, learning to drink a glass of water every morning is probably going to be a lot easier than mastering a complex guitar solo, right? So don't beat yourself up if it's taking longer than you expected to form a new habit. Science says it's normal. You know, this reminds me of a quote from another brilliant mind, Albert Einstein. He said, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer." And that's exactly what we need to do with habits, stick with them, even when it feels like they're taking forever to form. Now, let's talk motivation. We've all been there, right? Super pumped to start a new habit, only to lose steam a week later. Well, turns out, high motivation isn't the secret sauce we thought it was. It's kind of like trying to start a fire with a match in a rainstorm. Sure, you've got the spark, but without the right conditions, it's just not gonna catch. The study found that consistency and context are way more important. Sure, motivation can get you started, but it's the boring, unsexy stuff like repeating the behavior in the same context that really makes a habit stick. So, instead of waiting for motivation to strike, focus on creating a routine and sticking to it. Let me give you an example. Say you want to start a habit of reading more. Instead of waiting until you feel motivated to pick up a book, try setting a specific time and place for reading every day. Maybe it's right after dinner, in your favorite armchair. By doing this consistently, you're creating a context that triggers your brain to think, oh, it's reading time. And before you know it, reaching for that book becomes as natural as brushing your teeth. Speaking of context, here's where it gets really interesting. The study highlighted how crucial our environment is in forming habits. It's all about those environmental cues, folks. The great psychologist B.F. Skinner once said, "A person does not act upon the world acts upon him." And when it comes to habits, truer words were never spoken. Think about it like this, if you want to start a habit of reading before bed, putting a book on your nightstand is going to be way more effective than just hoping you'll remember to read. Your environment can either set you up for success or sabotage you before you even start. This is huge for breaking bad habits too. Instead of relying on willpower alone, try changing your environment. Want to stop mindless snacking? Keep the snacks out of sight. It's not rocket science, but it is science. Here's another example. Let's say you're trying to cut down on your social media use. Instead of relying on sheer willpower, you could change your phone's home screen to remove those colorful, tempting app icons. Out of sight, out of mind, right? You could even go a step further and use apps that limit your social media time. By changing your digital environment, you're making it easier for your brain to form new, healthier habits. Okay, here's another mind bender for you. We often think that once a habit is formed, it becomes automatic, right? Like brushing your teeth, you just do it without thinking. Well, not so fast. The study found that even established habits require some level of conscious effort. It might get easier over time, but your brain is still making decisions. This is actually pretty cool because it means you have more control over your habits than you might think. This reminds me of a quote from the Roman philosopher Seneca. He said, "He who is brave is free." When it comes to habits, being brave enough to make conscious choices, even in the face of ingrained behaviors, gives us a kind of freedom. It means we're not just slaves to our habits, but active participants in shaping them. So, next time you're trying to build a new habit, don't get discouraged if it still feels like work after a while. That's totally normal, and you're not doing anything wrong. In fact, you're flexing your mental muscles and strengthening your ability to make conscious choices. Now, let's talk about breaking bad habits. We've all got them, and they can be tough to shake. But here's the deal, simply trying to stop a bad habit often doesn't cut it. It's like trying to dig a hole in water, you're expending a lot of energy, but not really getting anywhere. The study found that the most effective way to break a bad habit is to replace it with a new, positive one. It's like habit judo, you're using the momentum of the old habit to establish a new one. This idea isn't new, actually. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle touched on this when he said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. For example, if you're trying to stop late-night snacking, you could replace it with a new habit of having a cup of herbal tea instead. You're still responding to that nighttime craving, but in a healthier way. Or if you're trying to quit smoking, instead of just trying to resist the urge, you could replace the act of smoking with a short walk or a few minutes of deep breathing exercises. Here's another interesting tidbit from the study. Breaking a habit isn't about eliminating it entirely, but about weakening the association between the cue and the response. Let's say you have a habit of checking your phone every time you feel a bit bored or anxious. Instead of trying to never check your phone, which is pretty unrealistic in today's world, you could work on introducing a pause between the feeling and the action. Maybe when you feel the urge to check your phone, you take 3 deep breaths first. This pause gives you a moment to make a conscious choice, rather than just reacting on autopilot. Now, I want to touch on something that I think is really important when we talk about habits: self-compassion. Changing habits is hard work, and it's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned. But here's the thing, setbacks are a normal part of the process. In fact, they're valuable learning opportunities. The famous psychologist Carol Dweck talks about the importance of having a growth mindset, the belief that our abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. When it comes to habits, having a growth mindset means seeing each attempt at forming or breaking a habit as a step forward, even if it doesn't work out perfectly. So, if you slip up and fall back into an old habit, don't beat yourself up about it. Instead, try to approach it with curiosity. Ask yourself, what triggered this slip up? What can I learn from this experience? How can I set myself up for success next time? Remember, every great scientist has had experiments that didn't work out. The key is to learn from those experiences and keep moving forward. Alright, so what does all this sciencey goodness mean for you? Here are the key takeaways. 1. Be patient with yourself. Forming habits takes time, and that's okay. As the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither are lasting habits. 2. Focus on consistency, not motivation. Create routines and stick to them, even when you don't feel like it. As the famous artist Chuck Close said, inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up and get to work. 3. Set up your environment for success. Make it easy to do the things you want to do, and harder to do the things you want to avoid. Your surroundings have a bigger impact on your behavior than you might think. 4. Remember that even automatic habits require some effort. This is good news. It means you always have the power to make choices and change your behavior. 5. When breaking a bad habit, replace it with a good one. Don't just try to stop doing something, find a positive alternative. 6. Be kind to yourself. Setbacks are normal and can be valuable learning experiences. Treat yourself with the same compassion you'd offer a good friend. 7. Keep learning and adjusting. As the great scientist Marie Curie said, nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more, so that we may fear less. The more you understand about how habits work, the better equipped you'll be to shape them. There you have it, folks. The science of habits, fresh off the presses. Next time someone tries to sell you on a quick fix for habit formation, you can drop some real knowledge on them. Remember, every small step you take towards forming better habits is a victory. It's not about being perfect, it's about making progress. As the anthropologist Margaret Mead wisely said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Well, I believe that a small group of thoughtful, committed habits can change your world. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And hey, why not start a new habit of watching all my videos? Until next time, this is Matten Malaper, keeping you up to date with the latest in science. Stay curious, stay persistent, and remember, you've got the power to shape your habits, and through them, your life. Take care.